if A and B is a real number, and then the absolute value of A plus B is less than or equal to the absolute value of A plus taka ko anda plus oh, plus diri na lang sa ubos absolute value of B. So okay, so from the previous theorem, katong letter D, katong sa ganito, negative absolute value of A is less than or equal to A, and less than or equal to positive A. And also the B, ito gamiton ng B, same from the previous theorem. So mana siya, no? So by this we will add the 2. Okay? So the answer will be kalisod ba ani? Kung i-add ni mo, the answer will be so many. How to activate? Yato na lang i-erase, maybe. Okay. So, gikan ato, kung i-add to nimo katong negative kare, tugam yan, B. Okay. And katong B, okay, so we add these two, we will have negative A, absolute value of A, plus, ato na lang ipagawas ang negative, absolute value of B, less than or equal to A plus B, okay, and then less than or equal to, okay, diri na ko ibutang sa ubos absolute value of A plus absolute value of B. Okay? So, muna siya iyahang sum atong previous. And then, take note that from the previous theorem gihapon, katong C, take note that, the absolute value of A is less than or equal to C if and only if negative C is less than or equal to A less than or equal to C. So, di ba, kabantay mo sa iyahang pattern, mura siya, pari-pariha siya ang kani, pari-pariha siya ani sa ato ang gisolve. Di ba? So, kani mauni atong A, and then the 2 will be our C. So, this means that nakita ninyo ang ang similarity sa kaning ubos, yes, sa diri sa kuan. So this means that we have the absolute value of A plus B is less than or equal to the absolute value of A plus the absolute value of B. So, dali ra ang kuan ang iyahang proof. Okay? So, makita ra dayon nato nga ang absolute value of A plus B is less than or equal to the absolute value of A plus the absolute value of B. Okay? Naaram dire. Okay, so it can be shown that equality occurs in the triangle inequality if and only if AB is positive, or A times the product of A and B is positive, which is equivalent to saying that A and B have the same sign. Okay, so we have here variation of the triangle inequality. So we have 2. So A and B corollary. So the proof of A will be here. Okay, so we write A equal to A equals A minus B plus B. And then we will apply the triangular inequality to get, oh, sige, ito na lang isuwat. Okay. So, sa ganito, the absolute value of the difference of the absolute value of A and absolute value of B is less than or equal to, ito, less than or equal to absolute value of A minus B. Absolute value of A minus B. Aw, nasunod ra, nakuha na ninyo any question regarding sa triangle inequality? Don't hesitate to ask, no? Kay basin niya. Kaya ba ko libog-libog pa niya siya gamay, no? Kay since this is your, is this your first time to encounter such inequalities? Or kanang pag-prove, ani? Or familiar na mo, ani? Familiar na mo, ani?
Murag na-alight. Yes.
Oh, na-alight. Okay. So, any question? Wala?
Murag wala, miss. Kaya wala naman sila, miss.
Sige. Okay. Okay. Kiwag jud ganing ko ano? Kanang magtudlo ta nga takita sa mga estudyante ba? Wa ta kay bawo kung okay pa ba? Or natuog na ba? No? Sige lang. Okay, so we have, okay, corollary A na ni siya, ha? Okay, so it's corollary A. So we will prove that the absolute value of the difference of absolute value of A and absolute value of B is less than or equal to the absolute value of A minus B. So first nato buhaton is we write A B equal to A minus B plus B. This is also equal to A man, di ba? Kay 0 man ni ang minus B plus B. So, ato ni i-regroup kani. And then we will apply the triangle inequality. Pero first, of course, ato sa i-absolute value. Okay, absolute value of A minus B plus B. Okay, and then apply the triangle inequality. We will have less than or equal to, this is, diri lang ako sa ubos ibutang, ha, absolute value of A minus B plus absolute value of B. Di ba, mao man na siya ang sa kuan? Triangle inequality, kare, absolute value of A minus B plus B is less than or equal to the absolute gibungkag is less than or equal to the absolute value of A minus B plus absolute value of B. Diba? So from there, ato sa ni ikuan. Ang kani sa umani, ha? Ito na, take note ni siya, ha, kay ako ni i-erase kay wag gid kuan. Okay, so from there we have absolute value of A. No, we will use the kuan kay na applyan man nato og that is less than or equal to na. Na-applyan naman na to ang triangle inequality. So that is less than or equal to absolute value of A minus B plus absolute value of B. And then we subtract both sides by absolute value of B para ma-cancel ni siya. Okay? So mag-subtract ta. So that will become absolute value of A minus absolute value of B less than or equal to the absolute value of A minus B. Okay? And then here, kindly ato ni gamiton later on. Okay? Magamit ni nato later on. So, A man to atong giuna ganina. Now, we will write B na sad para kuan ni nato. Magamit ni nato ang kani akong gi-asterisk. So, we have B equals B minus A plus A. Okay? And then, regroup again. Kani. Okay? And then, balik ta. Okay, so this will become sa to B equals B minus A plus A. Regroup ni. This is equal to excuse me. Ato lang unahon ang A ha. So that will become negative A minus B plus A. Okay, and then again, mag-apply ta sa triangle inequality. So of course, before that, kung saan na tong absolute value, this is equal to the absolute value of negative A minus B plus A. Then apply the triangle inequality, that will become less than or equal to the absolute value of negative A minus B plus absolute value of A. Absolute value of A. Okay, and then, sa may sunod, the same. So, kani o kani atong gamiton. Asa to, kare. So, that will become so, unsay sunod? So, that is B, absolute value of B less than or equal to the absolute value of negative A minus B plus absolute value of A. And then, para makancel ni ang absolute value of A, subtract both sides by negative absolute value of A. So, that will become absolute value of B minus absolute value of A less than or equal to the absolute value of negative A minus B. And then, pwede ni nato, unahon ni nato ang kuan para ma-combine nato sa katong first nat katong gi-asterisk gani nato. So, this is minus absolute value of A minus absolute value of B less than or equal to, and the absolute value of negative A minus B is A minus B, right? Sakto ba? Maka-cancel man ni ang kuan negative, or katong before katong given negative absolute value of A is equal to absolute value of A, di ba? So this will become absolute value of A minus absolute value of A minus B. Okay, equal man gyapon na siya. So kani ato na ni siyang gamiton. Okay? Magamit ba? Unsa ganito ang previous? Ato pa din ni kwaon ang negative sign dire. So if we get the negative sign here, we will divide both sides by negative 1. Diba? Para makuha ang negative dire sa atong left side. So if we divide both sides by negative 1, unsa may mahitabo? ma-positive ni ang left side, negative ang right sides, and then the sign will be changed. Di ba, mama na ang kuan property sa or kanang murag sa tawag ana, mao na siya ang kuan sa basta mag-divide ka og negative sign. So that will become the absolute value of A minus the absolute value of B greater than or equal to negative absolute value of A minus B. So we will combine this one to the katong first na to nga kuan, which is katong absolute value of A minus absolute value of B less than or equal to the absolute value of A minus B. So if you combine this one, unsa may nahitabo sa dire sa kani sa first na to nga kuan kare, mas dako ang absolute value of A minus B kani absolute value of A minus B kaysa kare, and then sa dire sa babaw na to mas dako ni compare aning negative, of course. So, i-combine na nato, that will become, pinakagamay nila is negative A minus B, absolute value. Negative absolute value of A minus B less than or equal to, sana to, A, absolute value of A minus the absolute value of B, and then less than or equal to ang last positive di na gyud ma kuanda. So if we combine, that will be sa to negative A minus B less than or equal to absolute value of A minus absolute value of B less than or equal to positive absolute value of A minus B. And then, balik ta sa katong C sa previous theorem, katong kani, less than or equal to A, then A less than or equal to C if and only if A is negative C, positive C. So, pwede na to ma-write into this one. So, kani, atong na-get. So, that will become, unsa man, so, mao ni siya atong A, no? So, absolute value, ane. So, that is absolute value of the difference of the absolute value of A and absolute value of B less than or equal to C na to. C na to is, absolute value of A minus B. So, ito i-rewrite. Again, nakuha ninyo? Pasensya na kayo guys. Gamay ra jud kayong screen sa akong phone. So, that is absolute value. Muna na siya ang ato ang i-prove. Minus less than or equal to our C is absolute value of A minus B. So, we have proven the corollary A. Nakuha ninyo? Nakuha? Okay. Okay, so next. Walay question, no? Sige. We have the B. So sa B, masayo ni siya absolute value of A minus B less than or equal to absolute value of A plus absolute value of B. So here we just have to replace the B in triangle inequality by negative B. So mamani atong triangle inequality. So i-replace na ni nato ato ang B here to negative B. Okay, and then it will follow na. So, na to get absolute value of a minus b less than or equal to the absolute value of a plus absolute value of negative b. And then since absolute value of b, negative b is equal to absolute value of b, so makuha ra dayon na to ang kaninga equality, corollary b. Okay? Okay, so ang given na to previous is kanang duha ra ka real number, but if we have many finite numbers, so we have this corollary 1.2. So if a sub 1 to a sub n are real numbers, then yung triangle inequality will be this one. Absolute value of a sub 1 plus a sub 2 until plus a sub n is less than or equal to the absolute value of each real number. The sum of the absolute values of the real numbers. Okay? Question. Wala? Okay. So, question. Wala yung question? Sige. Question? Wala? Sure, Jude? Sure, Jude, why question? Basi na nga tug na mo, ha?
Wala mi.
Wala di ay. Okay. Mag-solve sa tagamay. Okay, so determine the set A of x in a real number such that the absolute value of 2x plus 3 is less than 7. So how can we get the solution for this inequality in which na ay absolute value? So here you can have two ways. You can use the katong absolute value of A less than or equal to C if and only if negative C less than or equal to A less than or equal to C. C dire. Okay? So you can use that one, or you can use katong absolute value since dili man na, ang 2x plus 3 not 0 man. So we can use the katong iyang positive of negative. If A is positive and then if it is a negative, so mag-negative ta dira. Okay, you can use the two. So masayon man ni siya, no? Ang kaning ako kani masayon ni siya gamiton. So we can use that one. So that is absolute value of 2x plus 3. Absolute value of 2x plus 3. Absolute value of 2x plus 3 less than 7. Okay, so we'll be using the katong ubos niya, no? Kato ako gisuwat. So that will become negative 7 less than 2x plus 3 less than 7. Okay, and then sa sunod buhaton. So you manipulate both sides, so that will become negative 7. Ang positive 3 may mo negative 3 dire para makancel ni dire, no? So that nabilin 2x, this one 7 minus 3. Okay, and then this will become 10 less than or equal to 2x less than or equal to 4. Negative 10 there, sorry. Then divide both sides. Not both sides, but 1, 2, 3. 3 sides. Okay, we will divide by 2 to get the x. Actually, pwede sa nini mo usa-usahon. Pwede ka risa. And then, or after, para, kung di mo malibog, pero kung naanad na mo, Pwede na diretsoon ninyo. So that will become pila. Okay, diri lang nato
Negative
ibutang sa
5
baba.
and 2.
Okay, so that is negative 5 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2. So, yung interval or the values or the set that will answer the given inequality will be negative 5 to 2. Okay, open interval negative 5 to. Or how can we will write that as A equals set of all x in R such that x must be greater than negative 5 and less than 2. Okay, so muna siya ang solution. So within that open interval, ang solution. Okay? Okay. Question. Nakuha ra?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Okay. So, appeal ni siya sa inyong PS2. This will be the number 2 na no? Since we have the first one. So, solve the inequality to absolute value of 2x minus 1 less than or equal to x plus 1. So, sa man siya pag-solve, you cannot use na the kato atong gigamit previously. Kay si raman to ganina. Karon kay x, 2 terms man ito x plus 1. So, you will use 2 cases gihapon. So, sa case 1 will be positive siya. You let 2x minus 1 greater than 0. So, positive siya. And then next, you have, that will be case 1. No? Ang case 2, kay, ang negative na sa nimo. Negative 2x minus 1. That is less than 0 man siya. So, negative imo ikuan. Okay, manay mo gamiton. To find the solution for this inequality. Case 1 and case 2. Okay, absolute value of 2x minus 1 less than or equal to x plus 1. Okay. Okay, so now we have the real line. Okay, so a convenient and familiar geometric interpretation of the real number system is the real line. So, to construct or to illustrate real numbers, we create the real number line, diba? So, in this interpretation, when we say absolute value of an element A is regarded as the distance from A to the origin 0. More generally, the distance between elements A and B in real numbers is the absolute value of A minus B. Okay, so now neighborhood. So we have the notion of one real number being close to another. So for example, if A is the given real number, then saying that a real number na ay another real number X which is close to A, it should mean that the distance between the two, the x and a, or absolute value of x minus a, between them is small. And that small represents this epsilon, no? So now we have this definition, a formal definition of epsilon neighborhood. So meaning epsilon neighborhood. Okay, so if we let a be a real number and epsilon greater than 0, then the epsilon neighborhood of a point A is the set V. So mo ni siya ang epsilon neighborhood equals the set of all x such that set of all x in real numbers such that the absolute value of x minus a is less than the epsilon. So mo na siya ang formal definition of the epsilon neighborhood. But kung imo siyang kuan, para makasabot ta kung unsa gyud ang epsilon neighborhood. So we have here the real number line, no? Example. This padung siya sa infinite positive and infinite negative. So here, and then let's say we have this point A here. Okay? So if we have a point A in a real number line and naaman sa tay epsilon which is greater than 0. This is ang epsilon, the smallest kuanha number nga makita ninyo, which is of course greater than 0. So when we say epsilon neighborhood, it's basically the open interval made by the epsilon. So if this is our point A, and then we have here open interval kani positive epsilon, negative epsilon, okay? So mao na siya ang open interval. So those points here nga imo makita within this open interval. When we say open interval, dili apil ni ang direha kani akong murag parenthesis, no? So all the points here, mao na siya ang mga x nga atong gikuan ganina. So those are the epsilon neighborhood of our point A. So that will become natay distance niya, that will become x minus A, which is less than the epsilon. Okay, so katong katong kuan na to, this is equal to minus epsilon less than or equal to less than naman no, less than the x minus A less than x minus A less than the epsilon, or this is positive naman siya, A minus epsilon less than x less than di na gid maigo, less than A plus epsilon. Okay, so kani this one and this one mao ni siya dire, A minus epsilon and A plus epsilon. Mao ni siya ang iyang boundary, no? Or the open interval. So ang mga epsilon neighborhood will be all the excess na naa dire. Okay, nakuha unsa na ang epsilon neighborhood. So mao na siya ang definition sa epsilon neighborhood. Now we have this theorem. Let A be a real number if x belongs to the neighborhood of point A for every epsilon greater than 0, then x is equal to A. So that will be your third exercise for PS2. So unsa man ni, you use the same old argument or katong if A is greater than or equal to 0 and less than epsilon for every epsilon greater than 0, then we have A equals 0. Kato gani. So you use that one to prove this theorem. Okay? Okay, so that will be all for the first nato nga kwan. Question for the first lecture today. Question? So naapatay completeness property. Question, completeness property. Completeness property. Do you have any question? Okay, dali ra ni kay giputol man ni nako. Di wala pa ni siya na kuan. Walay question, I will discuss the next. Okay? So for the completeness property, Okay, so we have here, there are several different ways to describe completeness property. We choose to give what is probably the most efficient by assuming that each non-empty bounded subset of R has a supremum. Okay, so we have suprema and infima. We now introduce the notions of upper bound and a lower bound for a set of real numbers. These ideas will be the utmost importance in the later sections. So we have here definitions of bounded above, of upper bound. Okay, so here, let S be a non-empty subset of R. The set S is to be bounded above if there exists a number U in R such that S is less than or equal to U for all S in S. Capital S. Each number U is called an upper bound of S. Okay? Baliktad siya sa bounded below. So the set S is said to be bounded below if there exists a number W in R such that W is less than or equal to S for all S in set S. So each number W is called the lower bound of S. And a set is said to be bounded if it is both bounded above and bounded below. And it is not, if it is not bounded, it is what you call unbounded. Okay? Unsa man ni siya? Unsa maning bounded above and below. So, okay, so let's have an example. If we have a set S. A set S, which is a set of all X in R, such that X is less than 2. So, kung imo na siya tanawon, imo na siya i-draw sa number line, a real number line, suppose mo ni siya ang 2 na to. And then, the set is X less than 2. So, asa man ang mga points niya?
Padong.
Left, okay, padong left sa 2. So, makita dayon ninyo nga this set is bounded above by 2, right? So this is bounded above and 2 here, and any number larger than 2, we call that the upper bounds of this set. Okay, the 2 and any number larger than 2 mao na siya iyahang upper bound. But as you can see, infinity man ni padung man ni siya negative infinity, di ba? So this means this set has no lower bounds and it is not bounded below. Nakuha ninyo? Kung unsa na ang bounded above and bounded below? Can again, this is bounded above and iyang mga upper bounds kay ang 2 kani and any number larger than 2. Those are the upper bounds. But wala siya lower bound kay infinity man siya. 'Di ba? So wala siya lower bounds, thus it is not bounded below. Okay mo na siya ang now, we have another definition. We have supremum and infimum. So when we say supremum, it is the least upper bound. And then when we say infimum, it is the greatest lower bound. Okay, so if a set S is bounded above, then a number U is said to be a supremum if it satisfies these two conditions. So, U is an upper bound. So, imo i-check kung upper bound ba siya. And then, if naatay V, any upper bound, and then mas dako siya sa atong U. So, U here will be, of course, our supremum. Okay, kung naapay mas dako niya nga upper bound, let's say V. So, kung ang U gani ang pinakagamay, that will be the least upper bound or the supremum. Okay? Or we call that sup A, S-U-P-A. Okay? And then, infimum, the greatest lower bound. So, if it is bounded below, okay, bounded below ta ha, the number W is said to be infimum if it satisfies the condition. W is the lower bound, and T is any lower bound of S, then T is less than or equal to W. As you can see, W here is the lower bound, and then kung naapay mas gamay niya, okay, so W will be our infimum. Okay, or dara di ay. If the supermum of or the infimum of a set S exists, we will denote them by sup S or and in INFS. Okay? Okay, let's illustrate, no? Para makita. Okay. So if we have this, okay, example lang ha, this is our set S. Okay, set S is a non-empty subset of a real number man. Okay, so kung mao ni siya ato ang kuan set S kana mga dark na to nga kuan kani. Okay, kani tulo. Let's say mao na siya atong S. Asa man ato ang upper bound? Upper bound will be here. Then the lower bound will be here. Diba? So if this is our upper bound, then natay mga upper bounds diri. And this is the greatest sa tuigi ko niya. The least upper bound, mao ni iyahang pinakagamay nga upper bound. This will be our supremum, sup S. Okay? And then the rest ang kani, mao ni siya ang mga upper bounds. Then now, if this is bounded below, kani, mao ni siya, mao ni iyang bounded below. And then mao ni siya ang mga lower bounds na to. Okay? Lower bounds. So this point here will be our infimum. S. Okay, the greatest lower bound. Pinakadako sa lower bound kaning diri nga kung kutob ra siya diri. That is our greatest lower bound. Then here ang supremum will be our least upper bound. Okay. Least upper bound, greatest lower bound. Nakuha ang ihang concept na visualize ra? Okay. So first of all, it needs to be emphasized that in order for a non-empty set S in R to have a supremum, of course, it must have an upper bound. So in order to kanang makahibaw-an ninyo ang iyang supremum the same as the infimum, so kung supremum dapat, kung naaba siya yung supremum, dapat naasa siya upper bound. Same as the lower bound. Dapat naasa lower bound before nimo makita iyang infimum. Okay? Thus, not every subset of R has a supremum. Similarly, not every subset of R has an infimum. Indeed, there are 4 possibilities for a non-empty subset S of R. It can be, first, have both supremum and an infimum. Second, have a supremum but no infimum. Third, have infimum but no supremum. Fourth, neither of them. Wala. Okay? So, unsa man na siya? For example, unsa may example sa walay supremum or infimum? Example, the set of real numbers. Set of real numbers, set of integers, di ba? Kuan man na, infinite man ato ang infinite man ato ang set of real numbers, set of integers, so it doesn't have a supremum nor infimum. Okay, and then have supremum but no infimum, kato atong some example ganina. Okay, interval, no, mga interval. Okay, so both have supremum and infimum. Depende na siya sa given nga kuan. Para sa to akong gikuan ganina, interval gihapon siya, no? Mga more or less mga interval nga given ang mga kuan, pila ang ihang mga interval, kung if 1 to 2, bisag unsa. Okay? So now we have the completeness property. So the completeness property of a real number states that every non-empty set of real numbers that has an upper bound also has a supremum. So mao na siya ang supremum completeness property, or it can also be called as the supremum property of real number. Again, every non-empty set of real numbers that has an upper bound also has a supremum. Okay? So dira lang sa takutob, actually napa ni napa siya continuation, pero wala pa ko kahimo kay lagi naguba akong laptop. So wala pa ko ka-type. Okay, any question? Nasabtan ra?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Okay. Okay, any question? Wala? Okay, so again, the exercise PS 2, pila to ka book? Upat? Do we have 4? Yes, I think it's 4. So, answer that one, pass it on Thursday. Okay, a deadline will be on Thursday. Anytime sa Thursday. Before 12 a.m. Okay, so pass it on Thursday. Okay, walay question na?
Wala, miss.
Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you,
Thank
miss.
you, miss.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye po.